Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Strong and the Geek. We are back. We are your one-stop shop for all things nerd culture, pop culture, and all the other cultures. I am your host, Ben Ramirez. With me this week, special guest, not John Boyega.
Back from the dead, perhaps.
How you doing, not John?
Well, I'm doing well. I looked in the mirror this morning and realized that I was very unhappy with my upbringing. So I turned the other cheek, so to speak.
You know, we had not Kanye on the cast last week.
I know, and I got lunch with him earlier this afternoon. He told me what to expect.
Oh yeah? How is not Con?
As good as can be.
We're on a pretty close first name basis.
Sure.
All right, so we have exciting news. We're now live on iTunes and on SoundCloud, as well as you can find us on YouTube, obviously, at our channel, The Strong and the Geek.
And you can follow us now on our new Twitter, at Strong and Geek. Feel free to tweet us. We'll be posting our polls, probably random, bizarre tweets about who knows what.
Well, and obviously that's where you guys can give us suggestions about who you think should be Geek of the Week, who you think should possibly be the matchup for next week. We're always looking for input from the viewers.
Or you can DM us dick pics if you want.
Yeah, we do love the dick pics.
Yeah, at least he does.
But only if they are of people named Richard.
Yeah, what were you talking about?
Pics of dicks.
Alright, so if you recall last week, we had a very brief yet thorough discussion. Ben over here introduced me to, what was it again?
Biscuits and gravy flavored Lay's potato chips. It actually inspired the first YouTube comment we've ever received.
Yeah, wait, that's
because
true.
I said one of the dumbest things I've ever said.
Yeah, it was,
which is, if no one listened to the first episode, go back and listen to it now, and then come back to this one, in which you will hear me say, what would that even taste like? To which, not Kanye, pointed out that I answered my own question.
So, in the interest of figuring out how good the Southern Biscuits and Gravy Lays, who are the 2015 winners of the Do Us a Flavor contest,
I gotta tell you, not John Boyega, I'm liking the Southern draw to your voice.
Haley Green. Good for you, Haley. She's the one who figured these out. Well, we are here to try these and let you. That's them.
Live on the air.
We're gonna let you, the world, know what we think of the Lay's brand Southern Biscuits and Gravy flavored 2015 Do Us a Flavor winners. And you know what? Let me just first describe the packaging here. So it has a nice, like, Carolina blue, and then a picture of a plate of 2 biscuits with quite a heaping of sausage gravy with 2 chips very subtly placed next to it. The net weight here, 2 3/4 ounces.
I don't think the people at home really care about it.
This bag has 3 servings, and if we ate the whole package, that'd be 430 calories.
I'm just gonna put this out. You gave me a hard time about what my ideas on movies were. You're telling them what's on the packaging.
All right, let's go. One for you.
All right, we're gonna try this simultaneously.
Is your palate wet?
Yes, it is a wet palate.
Let's give it a try. All right.
At first, it tastes like a sour cream and onion chip.
Yeah, I'm gonna need one more.
And then afterwards, it just kind of,
That just tastes like a potato chip to me.
It does not taste like biscuits and
That is
gravy whatsoever. I was correct.
It's the 2015 winner because it's just a fucking potato chip.
It tastes like sour cream and onion with maybe like a hint of sausage.
I think a little less onion.
You think it just tastes like sour cream?
You know what? It's not bad.
No, I could totally eat these.
See, we could eat 100.
But if I poured a bag of them, no one would be like, "Oh, that tastes just like biscuits and gravy."
Actually, if we told them this is any other kind of chip, they'd be
we'd be like, "Oh yeah, this is those huevos rancheros potato chips,
Los Pollos Hermanos."
Yeah, they taste just like a guy with his face blown off.
Well, there you go.
You can put those in the same bag with the Harvey Dent chips. People can't tell the difference.
You're right.
Except some of them taste a bit chocolatey.
Oh my goodness. You know what? So we'll put these aside. I'll give you. So before we move on here, what's your rating then out of 10 on the biscuits and gravy?
You know what? This is going to be a split rating because if I'm rating them based on how much they taste like biscuits and gravy, it is a 0 out of 10. Am I allowed to give zeros? Or a 0.25 out of 10?
Whatever you want to give
Do we
it.
have a zero on the scale?
Whatever you want to give it.
On a, like, chip, it's a 5.5. It's a little better than average.
I was gonna go with a 5. Yeah. Like that. Nothing.
It is a chip.
It's average.
I will eat the whole
ground.
bag, probably, because they taste good, but it didn't change my life.
Yeah, truth. All right, so let us know as we move on here. First, let's just touch on base on how did you prepare for the show this week?
Actually, before we move on, if there's anything else you guys want us to review, anything else you want us to eat on air and tell you what we think about it,
for sure.
Please, send us messages on Twitter, pictures of it, whatever, and I'll cook it and we'll eat
Preferably it's edible things, but I guess if not, we can figure something out.
Let's please not give us don't tell us to eat sunglasses or whatever.
Deep fried sunglasses are right though. Okay. So yeah, like I mentioned, I'll move backtracking. So how'd you prep for the show this week?
Oh man.
Anything big happen?
Well, a couple friends of mine came up from Georgia. We got to hang out. That was cool. Other than that, no.
Did you discuss with the friends from Georgia anything about, like movies or TV?
Absolutely,
or video?
sure.
Oh, okay.
We talked about a lot of fun stuff, but mostly we had talking about drinking.
Oh.
And apparently my friend, who I will not name, had an interesting night when they first moved down to Georgia. Made for a great story. Apparently he was meeting with a potential employer at a bar.
That's unusual.
Yeah, well, he's a DJ.
Oh, gotcha. That makes sense.
And the potential employer got him really drunk.
Good man.
Well, yeah, I don't know how he runs his business, but to the point that he had to call his fiance and ask her to pick him up. And when she showed up first of all, she was like, no, it's like 3 a.m. Why would I come get you? He's like, I can't drive. So finally she got up and she came to pick him up. And when she called him, he was like, I don't think I can get out of the building. She goes, what do you mean? He goes, I don't think there's a door. She goes, there has to be a door. You got in there, son. He was so wasted he forgot what a door is.
Oh man. Oh no.
And then eventually they got him into the car, and apparently he just got really belligerent with her. He said that she doesn't love him because she refused to take him to the hospital. He was insistent that he was dying.
Oh my goodness. Well, good thing he's okay now.
Yeah, he didn't die. He's just a big old worrywart.
Yeah. You know what? And if he's listening right now, we and all the other listeners appreciate that story, bro. We're glad you found the door eventually.
We found the door.
Okay, that's pretty good.
I did have an interesting experience just the other day. As a lot of you may know, we randomly got snow, even though it's like the second week of April. And the other morning I was driving, and as I was driving, it was dark out. I had snow coming at me one way. I had the lines going the other way. My brain did a weird thing where I felt like I was on a treadmill, and it really made me disoriented.
Perception, man.
Yeah, I saw something going one way and something going the other way. I felt like my brain was telling me, hey, your body's moving.
Yeah.
But my eyes were like, nah, you're just sitting still.
Nah, man, perception. That's the flip of that happens when you're like reading in a car or something.
Yeah, it freaked me out.
That's what happens. The brain is a crazy dude.
Science.
So
what about you? What happened to you this week?
Well, I had the opportunity to read a couple graphic novels this week that I just briefly was going to mention. 2 in particular. So I read Batman vs. the Predator.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the collected edition. So Batman obviously is Batman, and Predator from the Predator movies, fights Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Spoilers ahead.
Nah. Well, no, not to go into depth about it or anything, but it was a good story. You should check it out.
I'm going to go on basically and say Batman probably isn't killed and has his spine ripped out by the Predator.
No, it follows the basic premise. Predator comes, he's hunting people in Gotham. Batman catches his attention as being the hunter in Gotham also. They battle it out. Predator fails to kill Batman. Batman defeats him, so to speak. And then the other Predators come and they kill that Predator for failing and deem Batman worthy, give him a trophy, because that's what they do, and they fly off, and it ends pretty much with actually Alfred like quipping about like, I see the hunter's moon was out tonight or something like that.
Anyway.
No. It's actually really good.
So
it's
like the ending to AVP.
Well, this came out before.
Better.
This came out way before then. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
No, it came out in the 90s. So. So AVP kind of copied.
Yeah, they just co-opted it and made it into a shitty movie.
Well, there was the coolest scene, just to mention, and then we can move on there. But the coolest scene was that Batman rammed him with the Predator with the Batmobile, and then had him pinned on the Batmobile and took him back to the Batcave because that's where he could fight him away from the city and stuff. And then Predator got shot with a tranquilizer and got up into the mansion, and so Bats was pretty badly wounded, but he went up the cowls ripped and everything. So he goes up with just his unmasked, and he grabs a baseball bat and tells Alfred don't stay back, even though Alfred has an elephant gun or something. He goes you stay back, I'm taking care of this with a baseball bat, and they duke it out. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
I would give that one a solid 8 out of 10.
8?
Oh, it was good. It was good. It was really
good. The thing about it is, I would say, if Arnold Schwarzenegger could defeat a Predator, I'm pretty sure Batman could defeat the entire race. I mean, I know they're heavy hitters, but he's Arnold Schwarzenegger's not Batman.
Right. No, of course not. He was Mr. Freeze, but
he was Mr. Freeze.
But he was never Batman.
By the way, he was the worst Mr. Freeze.
The only one, but the worst one.
Well, there's been animated versions.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
The animated versions are awesome.
Yeah. I was talking about the live action one. But yeah, so I think that was my nerdiest moment of the week, was reading Batman v Predator. I also read Justice League, A League of One, which is very good. I'm not going to detail about that. But it was a Wonder Woman-centric story, so that was pretty cool, because a lot of times they only focus on Batman and Superman. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking about Wonder Woman, though, so in the news this week, some interesting things just to point out. So Wonder Woman Earth 1, the long-awaited, this thing's been in production for years now, came out. It's Grant Morrison, so super famous writer. His book. And, the reason why it was in the news, one, is because it came out, but also because it meant some controversy, because it brought Wonder Woman kind of back to her roots, so it has a whole lot of, bondage kind of stuff, because the old Wonder Woman stories had a whole lot of bondage and tying up with the lasso and that kind of stuff. And this story takes that and uses it as, the Amazonian culture has a lot to do with... You're eating the chips. You're sneaking the chips. Biscuits and gravy, man. But yeah, it has...
not biscuits and gravy.
Regular chip. But yeah, so anyway, they have a lot of this idea that I guess the Amazon culture, it goes into the book about how, it's submission to authority in their hierarchy of, which Amazonian is more powerful than the other, and stuff like that. So, but the other thing is that...
So doms and submissives.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is that, so this one... goes into that a lot of the Amazons have open sexuality with one another, so they do have romantic partners within the Amazon and that sort of thing. Which I guess there's a bunch of people who are having this backlash. They're wait a minute, so Wonder Woman's bi, or she's open to, she has a female a romantic partner? And Grant Morrison, I guess, in an interview was these women have lived with just women for 3,000 years. You're just pretending that they didn't have sexuality over that period of time just because there was no men? Come on. So, yeah, and the big other changes, they made Steve Trevor, he's a black guy now, so I thought that was cool to mix it up.
Did that hit a lot of controversy, or is he... I mean, he's not a super mainstream character, so...
Well, but he is for... obviously the Wonder Woman story, he's a very big, pivotal part.
Right.
And in the New 52 Justice League, he's been the liaison to the Justice League for the government. So he's actually had a really big role in the books. But from what I understand, it's just the amount of controversy that ever happens when you change a main character's race.
Well, the thing is, I think for a character like Wonder Woman, even though she's part of the JLA Trinity, she is lesser known. A lot of her stories are lesser known to general population.
Oh yeah, her origin is lesser known.
Yeah, most people have no idea. So a character like Steve Trevor, I probably wouldn't even recognize the name. I mean, they will after the Wonder Woman movie comes out, because he will be in that.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Steve Trevor is just an American military officer, or who found his way on accident onto Paradise Island and was like and discovered the Amazons, and that was kind of like what sparked Wonder Woman's interest, and then her trying to leave Themyscira, Paradise Island, to go back to the world of men. So that's in her origin story. That's where he kind of plays a role.
He's really a catalyst.
Yeah, sort of. And then he becomes like a love interest for her,
right? And
over time, that's had its different variations.
Which he's in the picture in Batman vs Superman. He's for those of you who may not know, he's in the lineup of the people that she was with in 1918.
Yeah, played by Chris Pine, so the guy who's Kirk in Star Trek is going to play him in the movie. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know if they're going to take the romantic side part of it. I'm probably, because movies do that, but we'll see. So yeah, Wonder Woman Earth 1. I haven't read it yet, but I read a lot about it. I will have to check it out. I actually went to the comic book store, and they didn't have it there, the one I went to. That was too bad.
In other nerd news, this week we had a bit of controversy in the show Arrow. It's a bit of a twist ending there. Really came out of nowhere. Now, do you think that Black Canary is actually dead?
I do, and the reason why is because they've gone actually on, the producers were in an interview said, like, no, this is a death that's staying. Like, we're not bringing her back. So, unless they are, blatantly lying, I think they did. And apparently it was also, like, the whole cast had, like, a thing. Like, it was, like, a really sad goodbye, farewell for Katie Cassidy, because she's gone. She's done.
Now, did they go into why it is that they killed off the character? Is she pursuing no,
it has
other acting.
No, their answers all were like, no, it has nothing to do with, like, a lot of people didn't like the Black Canary on Arrow, but it has nothing to do with that people not liking Laurel Lance. It doesn't have to do with any of that kind of stuff or problems with her contract or anything. It was her story, like her story arc has ended.
Now here's the other question: do you think that they are going to recast the Black Canary? That someone else will pick up the mantle.
There's a theory going around, and I think it'd be so stupid, but a lot of people think that Felicity Smoke might be.
That's the first one that obviously comes to mind.
I
mean, she is blonde girl,
but a lot
love interest of Oliver Queen.
But in the comic books, a lot of the times Black Canary is actually brunette. She wears a blonde wig. So
then again, in the comics, Felicity Smoke was actually the mother-in-law to Firestorm.
Something weird like
that, yeah. Not at all the character that we got in the show. So they're going so far from what's regularly canon.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, yeah, she's got a bionic chip in her back, so now she can kick ass. Let's make her Black Canary.
And you know what? Actually, now that you mention that, it probably is what's going to happen. But I wouldn't... I wouldn't be opposed to whatever they do. Like, as long as they can explain it and kind of flesh it out well, that's fine.
Admittedly, the writing on those shows can be really clunky at times, and I know it's just because like they only have an hour to work with, so they have to like throw exposition at
44 minutes.
Yeah,
commercial breaks and stuff.
But there are some times, especially with Arrow, that I just get so mad when I'm watching it. I kind of hate watch Arrow more than I love The Flash, even though the writing in The Flash is even sillier.
But it's comic
but it's comic booky. Yeah. In Arrow, they try to go for like a more of a gritty.
I feel like not anymore. I feel like they're moving to comic
definitely
stuff.
Out of the gate, they were going for a really gritty thing. Now they're getting more comic booky
with the Flash,
but it's still like you'll have these moments where I'm like, why do you still talk to Malcolm Merlyn at all? Yeah. Like immediately, the first time they're like, "Well, maybe he will help us." It's like, no, he's never once shown that he cares.
Yeah.
He's a bad man. I actually had a chance to ask Paul Blackthorne a question once.
At Comic-Con.
At Baltimore Comic-Con. He's a really cool guy and a great actor, and we had a bit of fun. He offered to buy me a pint.
He did.
Fun. He never came through on it though.
But he did like your tweet, so
he did like my tweet.
So that was kind of like a cheeky way of saying, yeah, I agree. But yeah, to go back to Canary's death, she is confirmed though that will be appearing on Earth 2 in The Flash as Black Siren, so alternate version. So her doppelganger. Okay. So, and I think
is that a villain?
I'm not sure. That's a character.
Oh, it's a new character.
We'll see. Okay. As far as I've never.
I was going to say.
Actually, no.
There are a lot of expanded universe characters.
You know what? Actually, Black Siren, if I'm not mistaken, actually comes from the Justice League cartoon when they went back in time, when they went to that alternate world where they encountered the sort of Justice Society. I think that was the Black Siren in that universe.
You know, you might be right.
I think that's where they got it from.
What was it? The Green Guardian.
Yeah, the Green Guardsman. The Green Guardsman, and all those guys. I think that's where Black Siren was a variation of, which is actually kind of cool that they're connecting to the cartoon then. But I think that with the Flash having other Earths now, and also Legends of Tomorrow with the time travel thing, I don't think we've seen the last of Katie Cassidy as the Black Canary to some extent. But on Arrow moving forward, yeah, I think she's done for good.
Fair enough. Legends of Tomorrow. That show makes me mad too.
Really?
Just because I'm like, why don't you guys just go back to when he almost killed him and get it right this time?
And that's the problem. With
show is over one episode.
That's the problem with time travel in any extent. Like, why didn't Marty McFly just go back to like the first moment before when Einstein was first launched through, and they say like, Doc, stop right now. Just stop right now, and everything will go just fine.
Or just showed up and be like, hey, just so you know, don't steal this from the Libyans.
The Libyans.
They will show up and kill you.
Yeah,
and here's the weird thing about that. He happened to know to wear a bulletproof vest that night. Well, you remember that?
He eventually did because of the letter that Marty gave him.
But here's the thing.
1800s.
He still did everything else exactly the same, except he put on a bulletproof vest. Which he could have taken so many different steps, but instead he's just like, oh, Marty, I'll just put on a bulletproof vest, and I'm sure it'll be fine. Libyans are terrible shots. They're trained with stormtroopers.
And he still replaced their bomb with pinball machine parts. Like, what a dick move.
He still screwed him over.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, how
he could have just told them, like, hey guys, by the way, I'm building a time machine. They'd all be like, take the plutonium. You can build a time machine. We'll invest in that. Screw being terrorists. We're all going to be billionaires if you successfully build a time machine.
Well, I think the idea is that they're terrorists.
You don't have to be a terrorist if you have a time machine. You can just go do whatever you want. You can be anything.
Yeah, but you don't want to give a terrorist a time machine.
That's true. They could go back in time and change the world. They can make the world in their image pretty easily then.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last big news of the week, and this connects to our theme, because today we forgot to mention, today's going to be our Star Wars special. I know we haven't mentioned anything about Star Wars yet.
Well, I did say that Libyans trained with stormtroopers.
That's true.
Well, they're god-awful shots.
Well, this is a big week for Star Wars. First, The Force Awakens came out on DVD and Blu-ray. I picked it up today, gave it a viewing this afternoon. But also, we got the long-rumored and awaited-for trailer for Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So, what do you think about that one?
You know what? I watched this trailer probably 6 or 7 times already. Mm-hmm. I've watched it on my phone. I watched it on the TV. I watched it at, it happened to be on, at a place I was at, and I stopped what I was doing to watch it. It is fantastic.
It is very good. It's exciting.
And not just, one moment really made me go, oh, wow. Every single beat of it. The score that they chose to play.
I like that, too, a lot.
Using the alarm sound from the Death Star, even though, the first time I heard it, I was like, what? And I knew what it was in the back of my mind, but I was like, this is a weird choice. But then after, with each beat coming in, the wow, and you get the different shots, really, really well-cut trailer.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, if you listen closely, it's partially the Star Wars theme on piano, and quietly behind it, the Imperial March.
Yeah, I heard that.
It's a really nice blend.
Yeah, it was cool. And I think what I liked a lot about this trailer was they showed us that this is going to be a war movie.
Yeah,
that this is straight. This puts the war in Star Wars.
War movie, half almost like spy movie.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, with espionage.
Yeah, it's different from any other thing we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
And a funny thing is, just last week you said on the program that people don't want to see other things. They want to see Finn and Rey and Luke and Leia.
That's true. You called my bluff. But I was referring specifically to the Palpatine thing. But this is also, and I take that back. If the Palpatine movie, you could put Star Wars, you can label Star Wars on anything. It could be a hunk of shit, and you put Star Wars on it, and people will go see it.
Yes, absolutely. But hopefully we won't get any more hunk of shit Star Wars movies.
Yeah, at least not live action.
Never again.
But yeah, so the trailer, anything that really stuck out to you?
Okay, a couple of my big favorite moments when they're running and the AT-ATs are shooting.
That was cool. In that tropical,
the AT-ATs.
I don't know where they are, but they're in some tropical.
Yeah, some kind of tropical environment. It was just we've never seen people attack and being killed by walkers like that
in a modern movie. On Hoth.
Well, we saw them shooting down the speeders, but we didn't see.
You see people getting blasted on Hoth, but not to that degree.
Yeah. It's just it had such a feel of futility to it because at this point the the rebellion. I was going to say the resistance, but that's from the new one. The rebellion has not had a major victory yet. A New Hope is the rebellion's major victory against the Empire,
and we're right
so
in
at
the
this
middle.
point. They are not. The Empire is just squashing. This is like, if this is like those silly guys that went to Oregon with the guns. Those weird guys that took over that place a couple months ago. The viewers know what I'm talking about.
I have no idea.
The Oregon militia. They took over that building.
Oh, yeah, that's
and they just like sat there, and it ended in a gunfight, and eventually they arrested everyone after like 3 weeks of just watching them.
So that's what the rebellion is.
Well, the government's like, the government in this case being the Empire. I'm assuming they're like, who are these little rebellion?
No. That I don't agree with. Because at this point, the rebellion. Remember, the show Star Wars Rebels is where the rebellion first comes about, and during that show that's on right now, which apparently I've only watched a few episodes, but it's really good. During that show, that's what they are. But at this point, by right before this movie comes out, I feel like this is right when we're in this galactic civil wars, right? Because remember, A New Hope starts with the galactic civil wars.
Yeah.
This is in the dredges of this civil war. But I agree with you that the rebellion doesn't have like a decisive win yet.
Right. At this point,
they might have won a few like firefights or battles, but they don't have a decisive victory.
Yeah. At this point, it probably seems like that the Empire can just do whatever they want. And that's what I think that moment shows so clearly, because you have people just running on foot, getting blasted by these, I don't know how tall they are, 50-foot tall, like, mechanical death machines.
Right. I think the other big thing, the thing for me that I found interesting is just, a lot of people are talking about, they think Jen Erso, is that her name, the new kid?
Jen.
Jen Erso, the new heroine.
Felicity Jones.
Yeah, I think she's really cool. She seems pretty cool and like kind of like rugged, like I rebel, that's what I do. I thought that was cool. But I hear a lot of people talking about how they think it's Rey's mom, and I certainly hope that isn't true.
No, yeah, I do not want them to try to connect this.
Actually, right before I came here, I read an article that said it was like definitive proof that Rey is Jen Erso's
They
daughter.
both have dark hair.
No. It was actually it was that they both have English accents.
Oh, Jesus.
It was like the English accent, and apparently it's the English accent in the Star Wars universe is the Coruscant accent. It's like the Coruscant standard basic, like if you're a high up in Coruscant politically, that's the accent you have.
And if you're a backwater hick, like you're from Tatooine, you have an American accent.
And you have some blue milk. Come
in and get your blue milk.
So I guess that's what it is, yeah. But if you're from Alderaan, apparently you have an American accent, or you have like a Puerto Rican accent. What was Bail Organa? Organa. He's Dominican or something, right? Or Puerto Rican? I don't know. We'll look it up. Tweet us if you know who it is.
I think he's Alderanian.
That's true. That's valid.
Or is it Alderani? I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, they're gone now. Yeah, they're done.
Wish you were here.
So, just the trailer. I liked the final thing that I saw. Oh, to backtrack, I don't think Rey is.
No, that if that happens, they really have to sell me on it, because that sounds stupid to me.
Yeah, and I want Rey to be Luke's daughter. I really, really do. But the final thing that's been intriguing is that scene where it's some cloaked figure and the Imperial guards are there.
Oh, yeah,
and he's looking at what looks like a Bacta tank, the thing that Luke was in when he got hurt in Empire, which like healed him. It looks very similar to that if you put them side by side.
And for a second, he starts to like bow,
sort of, yeah, he's
down towards it.
So that's the Emperor bows to no one. So
absolutely,
the cloaked figure is not the Emperor,
unless it's the Emperor tying his Nikes.
Yeah, that's true.
Does Nike and Disney work together?
Or he's bending over to pour a glass of blue milk.
Yeah, maybe. But one up for his homies.
Yeah. For the rebels. The rebels that got shot with the AT-AT.
Well, there are Imperial guards there, so it's...
Is that perhaps the Emperor is...
Do you think the Emperor might get injured?
He got hurt
sometime in the movie?
Yeah. Or the other thought I thought was maybe... Like that's Vader in the Bacta tank, but he's being healed by something, and the guards are there watching him because obviously Vader is second in command after the Emperor in terms of like that hierarchy.
Right, yeah, right. But he's not typically flanked by Imperial
No. I'm saying, but
the Imperial Guard.
But he's in this circumstance. Maybe he's being watched over by them because this is where he's vulnerable. He's like
that's true. That's true.
But that's the thing is we don't even know if Vader and the Emperor are going to pop up in this movie.
Some people are saying that maybe. Well, it's been hinted at strongly that Vader will be in this movie.
I hope so. I want more Vader.
I don't know if he'll play a strong role or if it'll be more like a cameo,
like The Force Awakens, his role in that.
Well, that's barely a cameo.
Well, he was being spoken to.
It'll be like
Grandfather,
or like
let me finish what you started,
or like the Death Star's cameo in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
This one it'll be more. I hope he does play a role. I don't want it to be like he is the ultimate bad guy because we do have. I'm spacing on the actor's name. The guy who's in the white.
Yeah. He's like I think he's going to be like an Grand Admiral or something.
Yeah, well, it looks like they might be basing him off of Admiral Thrawn, which would be weird though because Thrawn is an alien. He's not human, and in the comic series, Admiral Thrawn is like the biggest deal after the fall of the Empire. Right after the Empire collapses, there's a series where he
But is this not canon?
Well, not anymore.
But
they might be pulling
ideas from
him because he's a tactical genius. He's able to even outwit and like cancel Jedi's like force powers by using these like native animals.
Actually, sorry to interrupt you, but I think I might have an idea of who it is. But please finish it.
Okay. They are. He's just a fantastic character. Now, again, though, he's an alien. He's like blue skin. He's got red eyes. I'm actually going to look up the character right now so I can remember the species because it's driving me nuts. But the thing about Admiral Thrawn is that he's a really good villain. And I would love for them to incorporate some elements of that. That he doesn't necessarily have to be a Sith or a Jedi. It can just be someone who's really clever.
Well, and this is what I was just about to say, is what I'm thinking. I bet you that this guy is actually, you remember Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin? So we all look at him as like, oh, he's just like a side character. But when the movie first came out, he was considered just as bad as Darth Vader. They were considered like the two main bad guys of that movie. I bet you that this guy is like overseas. He's even higher up than Grand Moff Tarkin, and he's going to get killed, and Tarkin takes his place for then in New Hope.
That makes sense.
I think that's probably what it is. Tarkin's probably like the second admiral or something. But yeah, so Rogue One. I am excited. It comes out in December. We will definitely see it and do a show on that, review that bad boy. But, so, my review for the trailer, I personally wanted to give the trailer, I'd give it a 9. I thought it was very well done.
It was fantastic. I think, like
it did everything a trailer needed to do.
It was put really well together. It was great to see Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to do a great job.
Was that Ip Man? Was the Ip Man the guy who was training them? I think it is. I think it's the Ip Man.
Is it Ip Man or is it IP Man?
Oh, I've always called it Ip Man. I don't know. If it's IP Man, whatever. Sorry, Ip Man. But, yeah, I think Rogue One looks really good. And that serves as our catalyst now as we jump into the beginning of our Star Wars extravaganza. So, as promised last week, we are going to discuss...
Actually, really quick before we get into that, Ip, I don't know if it's Ip Man or not, but that actor is Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen.
And Mads Mikkelsen is the character, actor that I'm thinking of as the villain. Donnie Yen, we're just checking right now. He was the IP Man.
He was the Ip Man.
He was the Ip Man.
Score 1 for Josh. I knew it.
And then, of course, Mads Mikkelsen...
is Hannibal Lecter, right?
Yeah, he is Hannibal Lecter. I'm sure that's probably not his favorite role, but... we're going to see a lot of really cool things. I think it's going to be great. And of course, then, we have Forrest Whitaker, we have Alan Tudyk, Felicity Jones, Diego Luna. What a cast. Ben Mendelsohn. Ben Mendelsohn's in it as well.
The whole gang. It's going to be good. And, and also, I thought it was cool that they got the woman who played Mon Mothma in Revenge of the Sith, just at the very end. She's playing Mon Mothma in this one, so that's cool.
And I don't know who that actress is, but they made her look exactly like Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry. We can go on to the main
hold on.
topic.
No, actually, we don't want to skip, just very briefly, our Geek of the Week.
Oh, right. I totally forgot. Geek of the Week. All right.
Every week, we nominate someone who for whatever reason, we've decided is our Geek of the Week.
Yeah.
And you can tweet us now that we have our Twitter up, for your ideas of who our Geek of the Week should be. But take it away, Ben. Who is our honorary Geek of the Week this week?
Now, our honorary Geek of the Week this week might be a bit of a controversial choice to some people, for a couple of reasons. First, because the majority of the stuff that he's been in the news for has not happened recently. But he was on an episode of Comic Book Men this week, so he was in something just this week. And, frankly, I think, for me, he's Geek of the Week.
Alright, so drum roll, who is it?
Well, another reason he might be controversial is because some people think he's a vigilante and other people think he's the savior of Seattle. I'm talking Phoenix Jones.
Jones.
Now, for those of you who do not know who Phoenix Jones is, he is a real-life superhero.
Like, no joke. Like, not a fake-life superhero.
Yeah, his name is Ben Fodor. He is...
You just gave away his secret identity!
He gave away his own secret identity.
Oh,
This is a really cool story.
Right,
I actually just did some research on it. So, Ben Fodor he was like 23 years old. He had a young son, and he came up and someone had broken into his car, and his son got cut on the glass. He cut, like, his knee, and the kid started crying because he was scared. And Ben Fodor realized, like, God, someone's got to do something to clean up the crime on these streets. Now, of course, it's not like his parents got killed, like Bruce Wayne, but this is a real life superhero, and that's a real life superhero story. Like, he was afraid for his son,
90%,
and he's an MMA fighter. He has won. From what I understand, he's got a pretty good record. He's a good fighter, and so he decided that he was going to don a super suit, which isn't just a rubber costume, like a lot of the police say, like, oh, rubber won't stop bullets. He goes, this is Teflon and steel. This is bulletproof. This is knife-proof.
Yeah, we'll tweet a picture of him. When we tweet our congrats to him, we'll tweet a picture of him.
It's actually a pretty sick-looking costume.
Yeah, you showed me. It was cool.
The only thing is that the neck of it's really stiff, like the old Batman,
he can't
the Tim Burton one, so he can't really turn his head. He has to turn his shoulders.
He needs to find Morgan Freeman, Lucius.
He has to get Morgan Freeman.
Driving out the back way.
Back
out of the driveway.
Now, there was a controversy around him using mace on someone because it was actually a woman that came attacking him, and he warned her. He gave her many warnings. You can watch the video yourself because they record when they go out on patrol. He's the leader of what's called I believe it's called the Rainy City Superheroes, or the Rainy City Protection Society.
He's the leader of the Justice League.
Yeah,
Seattle's
Justice League. So he sprayed her with mace, and of course she tried to press charges, and they brought up saying whether or not it was wrong for him to do it, and they were going to expose his identity. So he got ahead of it, went on camera, pulled off his mask, and he said, "My name is Ben Fodor. I am Phoenix Jones," and revealed to the world that he's actually this MMA fighter. He's not, because they were saying, like, you're just some guy running around, and he's like, no, I'm not. I'm a trained fighter, and I'm out here. I'm not trying to hurt people. In fact, there's a great video where there's a couple of drunk guys getting aggro or whatever, and he says to them that apparently the state of Washington is something called a mutual combat law, where someone can challenge someone else to open combat without weapons or whatever, like one-on-one combat, and the police have to stay out of it. So the police are there, and they agree to mutual combat in the streets of Seattle. He knocks this guy the fuck out. He gives him 2 or 3 different leg kicks and then knocks him out. The cops at that point are like, all right, you won. Let's break this up. Can you please go? And it's just great to watch these 2 cops just sit there watch as he beats this idiot up. And again, he didn't want to fight this guy. Every time you watch him, he's not like a brooding, tough whatever. He's just a nice guy. They spend more time pushing cars out of the street and feeding homeless people than they do beating up villains or whatever.
No, they're legitimate superheroes.
Yeah, they're really cool guys, especially Phoenix Jones. And it's definitely worth looking into all of their videos on YouTube and whatnot.
So Phoenix, we gladly give you this award, and we salute you, my man. You keep patrolling the streets.
And the reason why he is the Geek of the Week is he was on Comic Book Men.
Oh, he's the Geek of the Week because he's a freaking he's a badass.
Yeah, but I mean, of this particular week,
right.
He was on Comic Book Men. They brought him in, and he talked to them, and they're like, "This is Phoenix Jones," and all the guys behind the counter freaked out. They're like, the Phoenix Jones, the Seattle superhero, and he told them a story about how that he like helped was like involved in a riot where there were all these masked men, like an actual like super brawl.
Oh my goodness, So, my take on this is I am praying that we are living not only in the age of, superhero movies, but the dawn of actual superheroes. That Phoenix Jones has opened the door that for real not superpowered, but for real, actually no, fuck that, for real superpowered things will be among us.
Fuck that. Real superheroes.
Yeah.
Alright. So there you go, Phoenix Jones. If you ever listen to this, I want you to know we're proud of you. We love what you're doing. Screw any of your naysayers. You are a fucking hero. Keep up the good work.
We love you, man.
Alright, now, getting right into it, we are going to be discussing the Star Wars saga.
We will be going, so here's our kind of, we'll briefly touch on each episode, mention what we like, what we dislike, give it our review out of 10, and, maybe throw in a Star Wars pun if we can think of a good one. So right into it, episode 1.
Yeah, we'll be going chronologically, not like by release date.
Right. So episode 1. Let's hear your take.
All right, episode 1. You know what? I was young in '99 when I saw it. I thought it was great. Now that I'm an adult and I watch it again, I'm like, not so much. But the things about it that are good are fantastic.
Such as?
The lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul.
Also the lightsaber battle between Qui-Gon and Darth Maul in the desert. I thought that was... The lightsabers, and also I think what was good about that one is we had never seen anything like that at that point. We'd never seen lightsaber battles like that. So these were like Jedi being Jedi, and that was awesome.
And that score, Duel of the Fates.
Oh, it was so good. Fantastic.
For me, it's like the best... It's my favorite musical score of like any film ever.
That and just solely in Star Wars, that's actually my second favorite track in all of Star Wars.
Okay.
But we'll get to what my favorite is.
Okay, fair enough.
The other thing I was going to mention is that the opening scene when they're on the Trade Federation thing, when they're infiltrating, and then they were first fighting, the droids, and Qui-Gon was over. Even as a kid, and even as an adult, that scene is still sweet.
When they first fire up the lightsabers, and you're like, oh, these guys are Jedi, because at that point you don't even know that, like, that's Obi-Wan and that's Qui-Gon. You're not, like, really sure.
Well, but by their outfit, you know they're Jedi.
Well, yeah, but that was before we knew anything about Padawans or whatever, so, like, it for me it was a little unclear. But once the lightsabers come out, now it does beg the question, why would they have, like, had them on board? Like, they clearly knew they were Jedi, so why did they try to mess with them? You know what I mean? But that's beside... Like, they tried to pump the gas into the room, remember? And it's like, they know they're Jedi. Well, that wasn't a surprise to them.
Remember, Darth Sidious was the one who ordered them.
But in any case, it was great.
What are some of your other pros?
I like the pod racer scene.
I love the pod racer scene.
Especially on the big screen. I think it was really, really cool, especially for the time.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Have you ever seen the extended version where they introduce all the racers?
No.
That one it takes too long, so I'm glad they deleted that part. But the actual race is awesome.
Well, and some of it's a bit silly. I mean, they went cartoonish, when you have the guy sitting there and his pod won't start, and then the things just shoot off in all directions. He's like, "Bota!" or whatever.
It reminded me of what was that wacky race cartoon?
Yeah, there's a lot. That's the thing about episode 1. There's a lot of moments that are like that, where it's like, what are you doing, Lucas?
But once they get going, that race is sweet.
Yeah, it is very cool. Yeah. It's not like anything else we had seen in Star Wars. Yeah. In one aspect, but in another aspect, it was kind of reminiscent of the original trench scene when the X-wing fighters are going through.
It was, and a lot of times
the bomb on the
and even
Death Star.
when the camera would switch first person in the pod, kind of in front of the pod, it had that. Now I will say, I kind of was rooting for Sebulba though, the whole time. Anakin, I knew he needed to win, but part of me was like, nah, screw that. You guys can be slaves. Qui-Gon and them can be stuck in Tatooine. He's a Jedi. They'll find another way off there. Sebulba win. Stay undefeated.
Yeah. I did also like that. It turns out that Anakin was from Tatooine. I know some people are like, well, then why would Luke go to Tatooine? Well, of course, that would be the perfect place for him to go, because Darth Vader has really bad memories of Tatooine. That's where his mom died. That's the one place in the galaxy he never wants to return to.
Yeah.
Hide Luke there.
Well, and he also, and he had no idea that he had a son or anything. So for him, it's exactly if he other than Owen Lars, he had no family there, so he had no reason to ever go back to that planet. And it was on the Outer Rim, so the Empire didn't really mess around there too frequently until...
Now,
you hope kind of
now, negatives, I mean, everyone's gonna say Jar Jar right out of the gate.
I actually wrote down some notes, and I said the Gungans. Period.
Yeah,
like,
the Gungans they're silly.
Boss Nass with his me son like a
He's just motorboating everyone.
Yeah, getting spit all over the place.
And they look so different from each other. It's like they're not even the same species.
No, I think that the Gungans. It's like they're humans that look really really different. I think Gungans.
Yeah, but no humans have snouts. Some Gungans had snouts and some didn't.
You haven't seen all 7 billion humans.
That's true. In any case, no, the Gungans are silly, and a lot of people point out the fact that they might be kind of like a racial stereotype.
Their underwater city was cool, though.
It was cool.
That underwater scene, cool. When they were going to the city the first time, was cool.
Yeah.
Although, the other thing I got was, if they were able to swim to the city, like Jar Jar led them swimming to the under. Why did they need that boat then?
The transport.
Oh, to go to the planet's core. Or the pressure there was deeper.
Yeah, because they had to go through the core of the planet, which is weird.
The planet core.
And apparently the planet's core is fluid.
There's an ocean. Yeah.
Also, another weird thing about that, did Qui-Gon just mind trick that guy like because he wanted to? You know what I mean? Like Jedi typically like they're not supposed to do that unless they like absolutely have to. He was just like, yeah, let's not barter. You know, we'll barter for Anakin later in the movie, but for right now, we'll just...
But he used his Jedi powers for Anakin, too. He manipulated the dice, so...
Yeah, I guess. Qui-Gon's just he's just a rogue.
Oh, I love Qui-Gon. Yeah, he is. No, he even said, like, they said, no, we're not going to train Anakin. He was like, screw it, I'll take him on myself unofficially.
Yeah, he's like, I'll just do what I want.
Well, that was one. Do you have any more, or was that your...
Pros?
Or either, or pros or cons, or
well,
can I give mine?
I mean, we're talking Jar Jar. Well, yeah, another big one for me was C-3PO. There's no reason for him or R2-D2 to be in. No.
R2 in the movie. No, R2. Remember, he saved the ship, and it was to show that this droid, like that, the Force might even be kind of with this droid.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense because Obi-Wan literally says in Episode 4, "I don't recall ever owning any droids."
Because they never belonged.
I know he's trying to be catty, but like,
well, there's a lot of R2.
He should have been like, "Hey, R2-D2 and C-3PO, son of a bitch!"
Well, actually, well, yeah, that's true.
I know he's trying to play it close to the vest or chest or whatever, but come on. That's just a complete oversight by the creators.
Right. They just wanted to bring them in and have that kind of...
it was just for fan service.
But I did like R2. Well, C-3PO, I agree. I liked R2, but...
Okay, you know what? We'll do an overview discussion of the prequels once we get there. Anything else for you before we...
No, I didn't even get to go.
Yeah, go on.
All right.
So you just agreed with all the things I said.
No. Here's my pros. Okay, so the pod racing, I agree for sure. But it's okay if we agree. That's actually cool. For me, Qui-Gon. I love Qui-Gon. I was actually, even when we first saw the movie the first time, Qui-Gon was my favorite. And in 1999, right? And I was really disappointed that they killed him off. So
yeah, poor choice.
I guess he had to die for Obi-Wan to take over.
Well, and they wanted to mirror Obi-Wan passing the torch on to Luke in Episode 4.
But he was cool. So I'm glad that he kind of got his he came back kind of through the Force, sort of. So that was kind of cool to see.
Force ghosted.
Darth Maul is a pro and a con for me. Pro, he was a sweet villain. Con, they didn't do anything with him.
Yeah.
Anytime he's on scene, you're like, yes, I want to see what this guy's doing. He fights awesome. Even when he only has like 2 lines in the whole movie, like, that we will reveal ourselves, we'll have our revenge, or whatever. Yeah. And that's awesome. Like you heard that, you're like, this guy's a badass. But it was disappointing that he was basically just a plot device.
Well, yeah, I mean, they expand on the character more in the cartoon show,
in the Clone Wars, and now in Star Wars Rebels.
They brought him back for Rebels?
Yep.
How did they even pull that off?
He's gonna be. He was
gracious.
He was in the season finale.
So even though they keep killing him, he keeps coming back. He's like the Michael Myers of the Star Wars universe.
Got chopped in half and lived through that, man. So
he came back with sweet robot spider legs.
He's just he's a cool character. People wanted to see more, and they got it. So, but yeah, Darth Maul. That's my con, was that he just was. In the movie, he wasn't used as much as I was hoping.
Well, that's a lot of people are like, wait a minute, you have this perfect villain throughout the original trilogy with Darth Vader, where he's just like in each one, and then you just had these throwaway villains. You have Darth Maul in Episode 1, you have Darth Tyrannus in Episode 2, and they kill him off at the very beginning of Episode 3. Like, so they didn't kill him off at the end of Episode 2, but they might as well have.
Right. Now I can understand that. from the story perspective, that there were more Force-sensitive people who had been trained to pick from to turn to the dark side. So, following the whole, there's only 2 Sith. If you kill one off, you just corrupt a Jedi and you're good. But by the time 4, 5, and 6 roll around, you can't do that because there's no Jedi to corrupt. So you have to... And also, he had the Chosen One corrupted, so why the hell would he even want anybody else?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I agree with you that they're kind of... Other than the Emperor, who is the villain all through 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, yeah.
I guess the Supreme Council or whatever. But, at that time. But, yeah, other than that, yeah, the actual faces of the villains are nothing. It's the mastermind behind them that's the real evil. The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
So yeah, my cons, just quickly for that one, mentioned the Gungans, and the lack of development from Darth Maul, but the one also... Midichlorians, dude.
Oh, goddamn, how did I forget that? You know what, it's because I repress... Like, don't try to explain the Force. Just don't do it.
The Force
don't do it.
It's
magic.
And I have a very science and biological understanding of things in terms of my brain likes to know the scientific explanations and the biological predispositions that explain things like emotion and cognition, but not the freaking Force, dude. No.
Well, and the thing is, if you want to look at it scientifically, the Force is electromagnetism. Like, Google it.
But it speaks.
You can literally do all the things that they do with the Force using electromagnetic waves.
But the Force speaks to you.
Well, and that's the other thing. Electromagnetism isn't sentient.
And it connects life to It's like spirituality. It connects.
Yeah.
They turned spirituality into just like bacteria, like this little bacteria.
That was and something that you can literally like quantify.
Yeah.
They were able to quantify the Force in Anakin. That's so stupid.
I would have liked it if it would have been like kind of like the. But they.
Can you imagine if they like in the redo, like when they remastered the originals, Darth Vader, instead of saying the Force is strong with us, and he's like, this guy's got a lot of midichlorians.
Well, it reminded me of Dragon Ball Z when they used to have a little eye things, and they would be like, his power level is 9,000, Vegeta. Like, that was what it reminded me.
He has so many midichlorians.
His midichlorians count is 10,000. Like,
that's even more than Master
Yoda. Master Yoda. Like, no,
and by the way, how do they have inside knowledge on what each other's midichlorian counts are?
Did you see the library at the Jedi Temple? I can.
Do you think that's public record?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's Jedi record though. But they pulled a Batman. Batman would know all their midichlorian levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he knew right off the bat, like he has memorized Yoda's midichlorian count, and that was Obi-Wan. He's the Padawan, but he knew it.
But Yoda is also.
You think they like?
Yoda's also was the most famous.
They teach all the younglings. They're like, and just so you know, if you ever see anyone with a higher midichlorian count than this particular number,
Yoda.
He's the chosen one.
He's a Scientology level 10. Like,
he's an OT9.
Yeah, he's an OT2. He's L. Ron Hubbard.
He's almost L. Ron Hubbard.
The reincarnation.
No, Darth Xenu.
So young God. So basically, yeah, we wanted the Force to stay magical, and I liked that idea that I would have been fine if Qui-Gon would have been like, I've never sensed the Force this strong in someone before, not even in Master Yoda. If he would have said that, it would have been like, holy shit, like he's like the Force is in Anakin like crazy, not like he's let me prick your finger, I'm testing your blood. Like, he can't put diabetes check for the Force.
I just realized we're gonna go really long on this episode.
No.
That's okay.
Okay, so number two.
No, hang on. There's one more point that I need to make. I heard this on something else. Someone mentioned it, and I'm like, oh, that is brilliant. Why did this not take place on Alderaan and not instead of Naboo? We see a planet explode. We have in the beginning of Episode 4, right?
Right.
We have no emotional connection to that planet.
You don't need to.
No. But if they had gone back and we had seen so much take place on Alderaan, then when you go back later and rewatch Episode 4, you'd be like, oh man, that building's gone. Oh man, all those people are dead. Yeah. Instead, they just made another throwaway planet.
Yeah, and I would have also liked if
they did the same thing now with Episode 7 using. It looks like they blew up Coruscant, but if you actually look it up, no, they said it's the Hagen system or whatever.
I don't know.
I googled it.
It's a throwaway planet.
It's a throwaway planet.
Well, I think that's what the original was. It was. Remember, they didn't intend originally. They're blowing up Princess Leia's home planet.
Yeah, but when they went to remake it, they could be like, okay, she's Queen Amidala
Yeah.
of Alderaan
Yeah.
instead of, you know what I mean? And then when she dies, Bail Organa becomes the king of
And
Alderaan because
Leia
she
is-
didn't have an heir because they had to hide Leia.
And also they did, but I mean, they also elected their queens, which was kind of a
Oh, that's right. They had elected queens.
All right, so Attack of the Clones. Moving on.
Okay, Attack of the Clones. Pros.
Oh, actually, sorry. Just episode 1. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I mean, overall, I enjoy it, but
I'll give it a 4.
a 4. All right.
I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay, Attack of the Clones. I know you hate Attack of the Clones the most.
Attack of the Clones for me is like it's interesting because number 5 is the best, and number 2 is the worst. Like the middle ones. Here's the thing about Attack of the Clones for me. I don't see any redeeming factors except maybe Jango Fett.
Okay, then let me take the lead on this one. We'll try and speed up here for our per episode talk. But here are my pros for Attack of the Clones. All right, what we mentioned in episode 1 about getting the lightsaber duels that were sweet. You can't deny the fact that Attack of the Clones was the first time we got to see not just 2 Jedis fighting, all the Jedis fighting, and that was pretty cool to see them all fighting at the same time. Now that battle, if you were to take away the stupidity of like C-3PO losing his head onto another droid, if you watch it without that stuff, just the Jedis fighting, it's actually a really cool battle. And even the Count Dooku versus Obi-Wan and Anakin fight is pretty cool. Now I know the Yoda fight gets silly because Yoda's flipping all over the place, but other than that, at least we got to see Yoda fight, which a lot of people wanted to see. It didn't go the way you wanted, but I would say that the amount of lightsaber action in that movie was the first time we had that high quantity. I enjoyed that.
Well, and I guess there are a couple good points. I mean, we do see Darth Tyrannus cut off Anakin's hand, which mirrors Luke getting his hand cut off in episode 5.
And also the beginning of he's more machine now than man.
Yeah.
The beginning of that
we start to see that transformation. Again, we get to... I don't really care to see Boba Fett as a little boy.
It was kind of cool.
Now, on the other hand, though, Boba Fett doesn't do anything in the original trilogy other than just stand around and look cool. And Jango Fett kicks ass.
Well, I had that told. The Jango Fett Obi-Wan fight's really cool. And Jango Fett,
I mean, we see him use all his gadgets. He's got the flamethrower, the little missile dart.
Rocket.
He catches them with the rope dart.
Yeah,
so like
cool.
he's got more gadgets than Batman.
Yeah, Jango Fett was cool. I did like. Now I will see Boba Fett actually. I think Boba Fett in number 5 did play a really big role, especially like being the one bounty hunter who was smart enough to. But that's number 5.
Yeah.
But I liked seeing little Boba Fett. I also that was my second point. Also, was the Jango Fett thing. So I agree with you. And finally, I actually did like the ending, how it ended with that like cliffhanger at the beginning of the Attack of the where you've heard the Imperial March for the first time.
That was a good choice.
I thought it was a cool end, and even ending with, even though my most hated thing in that movie is the romance, because we need to see it. We need to see the romance, but oh my god, the acting is bad.
Here's where I'm going to disagree. I think that the problem that Lucas made when he made the 1, 2, and 3 is that it was just fan service. When you had 4, 5, and 6, we were seeing almost everything out of Luke's perspective. So when Luke learned that Vader was his father, that's when the audience learned that Vader was his father.
Right.
So with 1, 2, and 3, when we should have seen the same thing mirrored, but with Obi-Wan. 1, 2, and 3 should have been Obi-Wan's story. So when we see...
But 1, 2, and 3 is Anakin's story.
No, hang on. Hear me out. I know they build it as Anakin's story, but I think they should have done it as Obi-Wan's story. Because when Obi-Wan learns that Anakin is slipping and like killing younglings, and or even before that, like when he is married and secretly is going to be a daddy or whatever, that's when the audience should have learned. It should have been hinted at, maybe like a little tension, but not this weird romance thing. The audience should have been like, oh, they're together. Oh my god, that makes so much sense now.
I think
she's Leia and Luke's mother.
Yeah, that might have been kind of cool.
You know I think there was no twist.
I think that would have gone one of two ways. Either A, it would have been like that, like cool, like oh my goodness, that all makes sense. I should have seen that the whole time. Or B, it would have been like, wait a minute, like the woman who like was like a 19-year-old girl when he was 10. That's weird. Like people would have been taken aback by it. I don't know.
I mean, we see them. I mean, by the end of it, Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman, they don't look that different.
Well, and she was supposed to be 14 actually when he was 10. But but I think that the acting, even if the acting and the writing would have been better, how they have it would have been fine if it would have been better done. Like I think that just Like when he cuts the pear with the force, like this is unbearable.
Yeah.
A CGI pear, like
almost everything in that is so uncomfortable.
yeah.
You know, when he's talking about sand and like how it's coarse and he
like,
gets it everywhere.
And he like rubs her back.
Yeah, and she literally is like, please don't touch me, please don't look at me like that. And he's just like, nah, I'm gonna force it in there.
Yeah. The other and then so the other my other
you
final
said you wanted Star Wars puns.
Yeah, it's very very good. The other thing that I didn't like in that movie and is the diner guy.
Oh yeah, that big forearms.
Yeah,
he had a mustache even though he was like a toad.
Yeah, a toad. Yeah, and I just like the thing is that
or like you want to buy some death sticks.
Yeah, that's actually I wrote that down. Look right there. I wrote the paper.
They have so many just silly moments in that movie.
Because and the thing is like that right after that he finds out about Camino and when the diner guy starts talking about Camino and the clones. That's for a second it gets intriguing, but then he says, "Your pocketbook is," and I'm like, "No, it's not cool."
Oh, you know what? One other thing I do have to say, this movie has a lot of moments where Obi-Wan and Anakin keep mentioning like things that happened between the two of them, but they sound way cooler than the things we actually see. Where they're like in the elevator, it's like, that time that you had to save me from such and such. Oh yes, and it's like, no, that sounds awesome. Why didn't we see that?
Yeah.
Or when they're in the speeder and he jumps off, Anakin just jumps off and starts like falling after the assassin they're pursuing.
See, that was
and he
cool.
looks over but he goes, I hate when he does that. It's like, he does that often. Yeah. You're not going to expand on that. Yeah. He randomly jumps out of like. You guys are miles in the air. He just jumps out of shit for no reason. Who is this character?
I don't know, man.
We could, you know what? Make episode 1 like this is where episode 1 starts. They already know each other. Give us more of that instead of showing him as a little boy.
And no midichlorians.
Yeah, no midichlorians. Make the pod race something that happens to him when he's 20 instead of something that happens to him when he's 9.
Yeah. So I thought, but overall, I would give Attack of the Clones a 5.
I'll give it a 2. It was a movie. There were lights. That's about it.
It has I think the end from Geonosis onward. I actually do enjoy. So I would give it a 5. All right, Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith. I know people pan the prequels, but at Revenge of the Sith, I actually do enjoy a lot. So out of the box,
well, it's certainly better than the other two.
I will say out of the gate, 7 out of 10 for me, Revenge of the Sith.
7 out of 10?
Yeah, I do enjoy it.
Man, you're setting the bar really high, because that means that 4, 5, and 6 have all got to be in the... And 7 are probably all in the 8 to 10.
Oh, absolutely. They're all fantastic. So the things I enjoy about Revenge of the Sith, I like the Vader transformation. I really do enjoy. I think that Hayden Christensen, for all the garbage he was in Attack of the Clones with his acting, I think he stepped up his game in Revenge of the Sith. I
forgot in Attack of the Clones he randomly just murdered all those Tusken Raiders.
That was actually an intense scene,
which surely wasn't random.
Like they killed his mom.
Yeah, but it was like. No, that's when he became Vader.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, what I like
he tells you he killed women and children, and she totally is just like, whatevs. Yeah. Like, she just goes on to the next thing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, but I liked seeing the culmination of him becoming Vader and really, being seduced by Palpatine. Yeah. And this one had the actual, throughout the movie, not just, every now and then, oh, Anakin, you're the best, like in Attack of the Clones. This was the whole movie was him being seduced, and kind of gave us our first ever... We don't really see Vader and the Emperor interact that much in any of the movies that much.
We don't get to see their relationship.
We only see a little nuggets in Empire and at the end of Return of the Jedi. But this one, we see, Palpatine has been feeding him biscuits and gravy lays this whole time.
He's very fatherly to him.
And he didn't have a dad. He was like, Jesus.
Yeah. Well,
Jesus has a dad.
And Obi-Wan treats him more like a little brother than a son.
No, he even mentions to him at the end of Revenge of the Sith, you were my brother, Anakin. Yeah. So
he looked for a father figure, and he found Palpatine.
And I liked that a lot. Also... I was gonna say the end of the Jedi, the Order 66. I love that whole entire scene. The execute Order 66. That it was programmed into these clones from the beginning, and just all the different cuts on the different planets of them being turned on, and the Jedi being. I thought that whole scene, and the music during that scene is really sad, and then Yoda decapitates 2 guys, which was badass. The whole thing was very cool.
I thought that was neat. I think it's weird that at that point the Clone Wars was coming to an end, so this had gone on for years, and no one was ever like, hey, Isn't there something weird going on with these troopers sometimes when they're just staring at Jedi? Now, I know it's, like, in the back of their mind, and you learn about that more if you watch, like, the Clone Wars. Like, they don't even know about it.
Yeah, it was, like, programmed in there, yeah.
But it's,
in
like,
their brain.
How could that secret not have... Like, obviously, the Kaminoans would have been the ones that programmed it. So when Obi-Wan showed up, she was looking at him like, Master Jedi. And in the back of her mind, she's like, they're going to fucking kill you one day.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we programmed them to kill you.
Well, actually, maybe they didn't even know. The Emperor could have, like, cleansed their brains. I mean, the Emperor orchestrated was a puppet master.
Well, the other thing is, we don't know about the Kaminoans. They might be dickheads.
That's true.
We don't learn much about them.
They seem emotionless.
Well, and when people say, cloners, remember when at the diner he's like, cloners?
Yeah.
Like, that the tone that he takes is like, they're garbage people.
Yeah, we don't know what they do. But finally, my big thing, and what I still always enjoy from Revenge of the Sith the most.
When he kills the kids.
No. I mean, that scene was horrific.
Intense.
But no.
I'm glad they didn't show it.
No.
That would have been a bit much.
Yeah. No, for me, the final battle, Obi-Wan v. Anakin, that's what I was going to say. That's my favorite music that plays during that one. That whole scene that's the only time ever in the prequels where Natalie Portman and Anakin, I believe that they're having an actual emotional moment when she's like breaking down and she's like saying like I can't follow you, like what you've done.
You've broken my heart.
And like your empire, that's what Obi-Wan says that, like your empire. But like, and then he starts choking her and he thinks he killed her, and that whole exchange with like. The Chancellor Palpatine's evil, and like Anakin's like, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Like he's completely bought into it, and that whole fight, even though it's like over the top on a volcano planet, I thought it was cool.
Well, and that's the thing, like we didn't necessarily need all the spectacle because there's so much emotion in that battle. So the spectacle for me took away from what should have been more an emotional scene. But again, if we had seen the movie more from Obi-Wan, the whole thing from Obi-Wan's perspective, I think we would have seen a closer bond between them than from Anakin's perspective. Because from him, he's an angsty teen, he's in love with this girl. Obi-Wan, that's his little brother. He's always looking out for him. Yeah. So if we would have seen Episode 1 and Episode 2 more from Obi-Wan's perspective, and if we had started Episode 1 where he's already like his Padawan, then by Episode 3, that moment where he leaves him there to die, that would have tore the audience up.
But you know what? But I will say that it did, though. Like, when he's saying there and he's, like, breaking down, saying, like, you were my brother and I loved you, and Jedi aren't even supposed to love, and Obi-Wan admits that I loved you, like, as, I'm not talking about romantic love, like, but just the fact that...
I wanted to give you bullet kisses.
No, but just, like, that moment, I was like, nah, dude, that, like, now I realize how torn up Obi-Wan is about this. And Ian McGregor, fantastic job as Obi-Wan. It's particularly and
everyone that talks about the prequels, they say, like, they were shit. But Ewan McGregor was really good.
And Qui-Gon was cool.
And when they talk about doing, I mean, they've said about doing possibly a young Obi-Wan movie, or like Obi-Wan maybe like right after the events, in between 3 and 4.
Fleeing to Tatooine to hide.
Because there was a lot of years in there.
We don't know what he was doing.
And he doesn't spend those years with Luke.
But we know his name is Ben now.
Yeah. So... they came to him and they're like, would you be willing to do it? And he was like, yeah, absolutely.
I would love that. That'd be awesome. So yeah, the things that I didn't like about number 3, the up until that final scene, the romance again was still whatever.
That's stupid.
They
killed Tyrannus off, like...
That was gonna say the beginning. The beginning was, like, once... And then, the villain thing. The General Grievous was just another throwaway kind of villain.
Yeah, which, the thing is...
And Attack of the Clones in the show... the Clone Wars show...
In the Clone Wars show, he's such a cool villain.
Cool, yeah.
And...
In the movie.
And even Tyrannus is a cool villain in the show. It's a really good show. But then they just throw him away.
Yeah.
They're throwaway villains.
Yeah.
They marveled it. They marveled it before Marvel started doing it. They just had throwaway villains.
And that's what Disney bought.
And Disney. They're like, oh, we can cross promote.
All our crappy villains can come together and hang out on Disney Infinity, the game. All right. So, what's your rating for Revenge of the Sith?
A 5.
Okay, so this one's the first one that you have at least good and bad, like middle.
Yeah. All right. Because I'm not trying to look at it just with nerd goggles. I'm looking at it like as a movie. And as a movie...
Oh, I'm looking at nerd goggles.
Yeah. I try not to every time.
All right, so episode 4. You want to take the lead?
Well, was there anything left to say about the originals?
I'm good for that. We can move on from.
Yeah, I guess so.
New Hope.
Oh, the last thing I wanted to say: the Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru is just like, oh yeah, sorry, here's this baby. Oh, and then, like they introduce him as being like, I happen to be your cousin or whatever, and then later on it's like, oh yeah, and here's
Well, we don't. No, hold on, but we don't hear what they're saying. Remember, it's just the music playing and showing it happen.
right.
Obi-Wan
But my
be
point is,
talking to them.
because they didn't build, and again, I saw this on this other program where they were talking about it. Because they didn't build Owen and Beru up as they could have built Owen up as a character. He could have been a character in the prequel trilogy, and then when you see them burn again, when you go back and rewatch Episode 4, you're like, they killed Owen and Beru. You know what I mean? Like, instead it was just like, oh, it's that guy that kind of just stared at Anakin really awkwardly.
Actually, people were happy when Owen and Beru got burned because Owen was kind of a dick.
Yeah, but again, it's just one of those things that like there were a lot of missed opportunity. I think the prequels was just like.
Okay, but that's a
bullets that should have been fired.
All right, but that's a whole prequel thing. So
yeah.
All right, moving on. Number 4.
Episode 4, as everyone knows, is one of the greatest films of all time.
It is very good.
It changed what we know about movies. Before that, it was all about and this sounds like a dig, but it's just reality. Before that, it was all about nuance, and it was all about character building. And after Episode 4, everything became about marketing. You got to get the toy in there, and you got to make sure
which kind
that
of
you have
nowadays,
the big spectacle. Well, that's the thing. Star Wars changed what movies are today.
All right, so tell us about A New Hope, your pros and your cons.
Pros for A New Hope. You have a great musical score.
John Williams.
Fantastic. Absolutely amazing.
That moment when Luke's looking at the two suns, and it really comes in heavy, is one of the best movies in cinema.
Absolutely. It just pushed the envelope for everything that came before it. It's such a perfect film.
Okay, but specifics about the movie.
God, you want me to talk specifics about what I liked about A New Hope? I like everything about A New Hope.
Okay, specifically for me, the entire final space battle is awesome.
Absolutely.
And Vader, just anytime Vader's on. Just Vader was so good. Like, I find your lack of faith. It's quotable. That one had a lot of the other ones. Other than Han Solo has a lot of good quotable lines, and the Emperor actually too. But like Luke's lines, the only time you're quoting is to make you fun of him. Like the Tashi Station. Like that was one of my cons. Is Luke is super
power converter.
Luke is so whiny. That's
but again,
one of my cons.
At the time he's like 16.
But he's
an angsty teen.
And Hayden Christensen was annoying in Attack of the Clones because he was whiny, and then in Revenge of the Sith he stops being as whiny and he's more bearable. Same thing with Luke. Luke stops being whiny.
Yeah, but Mark Hamill's a better actor.
Yeah,
than Hayden Christensen
absolutely.
is.
But by Empire he stops being whiny, and you care more about him. In A New Hope he's too whiny for me.
Absolutely. All right, now moving on from that, I agree with you. It's awesome.
The other cons I had was and I know it's 1977, and you have to take it with that kind of stuff. But that being said, the battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, is pretty lackluster.
Oh, it's boring.
Yeah,
they're just two old men poking at each other.
And for the fact is that it's when he first gives him the lightsaber, and they're on the Millennium Falcon training and stuff. You're like, this is really cool. Like, I can't wait to see him battle people like this. And you never get to see Luke use it at all. And
in the first movie,
that's what I'm talking about. We're talking about just number 4.
Okay, yeah.
And then when you get to see Obi-Wan use it against Darth Vader, you hear about Darth Vader being this excellent, like, warrior, sword, like, master evil villain. And then when they fight, you're like, well, that wasn't very cool.
Oh, you know what? Con for me, stormtroopers can't hit shit.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know they obviously didn't want to kill off any main characters, but they could have at least had one of them get winged.
Except for Obi-Wan, but they killed Obi-Wan. But.
Yeah, but Obi-Wan surrenders and goes to the Force or whatever.
That's
true. Like, they could have at least had Luke get grazed.
Hey, does that mean that he became a midichlorians?
Oh yeah, he's just midichlorians now. Weird. His midichlorian count is even higher than Yoda's.
Yeah, weird. But yeah, other than that...
And he would know, because Obi-Wan is the master of Yoda's midichlorian count.
Yeah, and I would say the other con for me is I find C-3PO at number 4 annoying. I find him... And number 5, I like him a lot, and at number 6, I think it's cool when he's like the Ewoks god kind of thing, but number 4, I think he's just annoying. R2 is good, but...
Yeah, R2's fantastic. I like that you don't hear him.
So what's your number for number 4?
Oh, man, it's a 9.
I'd give it an 8, but yeah.
It's a 9. It's the first one.
I would give it an 8.5. An 8 raising 9.
Yeah.
Alright, now, Empire.
I love Empire so much.
Yeah.
You finally get to see really what it looks like.
Actually, I recant. Number 4's a 9 for me.
Yeah, all right. Empire, you actually see warfare between the two.
And that opening battle, the Hoth battle, just literally, like, besides the landscape where they are, just how bleak it is for the Rebels.
Absolutely. Can I say how much I love that when in episode 4 and then in episode 5, every time Vader first walks into a place, he's just flanked by his like crew, and he walks in like such a pimp. He's always just like head thrown back, cape flowing. He's just like, I own this.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
My specific pros were obviously the entire Hoth battle. The final, when you finally see Luke and Vader officially battle for the first time, and you know when Luke's saying he's got to go on Dagobah, and you're like, Luke, don't go, stay with Yoda, don't be an idiot. But then part of you's like, nah, dude, we want to see you fight Vader. Go, like, go do it. And then Boba Fett. For me, I thought Boba Fett was cunning. Like he doesn't need to talk a whole lot. The fact that when he like hides in the wreckage and followed the Millennium Falcon, and no one else did it. When he's there and he's like, I don't know, I thought he was cool.
I think that Boba Fett is wasted potential. I think he's a super cool character that they could have done more with, but just like what he did with Darth Maul and whatnot, they ended up making him a throwaway villain.
And those are my con. My con is the lack of dialogue for Boba Fett, not giving him enough. And my other con is, and I know that it's crucial to it, but I thought that the Han and Leia romance feels really rushed to me. That at the beginning, they're still like kind of snipping, but flirting, but at the end she says she loves him. Like, I thought that was really quick. And I know we're supposed to believe that it's been developing for years.
At that point, she thinks that she's not going to see him again.
I know that, and I know that I think it's been...
I mean, we got to talk about the fact that Harrison Ford is fantastic. I mean,
he's awesome.
If not for... He makes those movies with, like, his improvised lines. I mean, in episode 4, it's the, we're all good here, how are you?
Yeah.
And then in episode 5, of course, the iconic,
I know.
I love you. I know,
yeah.
It was supposed to be I love you too. He was like, fuck that. This is Han Solo.
And you know what? It's not a major con. It's just, it was something. I had to find something to be for a con. So my score for Empire, I gotta give it a 10 spot.
Yeah, I mean, I guess no movie is technically perfect, so I'll give it a 9.9995.
But you can give things 10 if you consider something like just
fine. It's a 10 out of 10 for me.
And IGN considers a 10 a masterpiece. I consider it a masterpiece.
It's so well. If that's the case, then A New Hope is also a 10.
Okay, see,
or a 9.995.
See, A New Hope I'd give a 9, but
all right, 9.5 for me for A New Hope, 10 for Empire.
Empire's a 10. All right, Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
I will say that the end of Return of the Jedi, the final part of Return of the Jedi, is probably my favorite Star Wars sequence of any of the movies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, by the way,
excluding Endor.
I know we're making the original trilogy, like, going through it a lot quicker, but that's just because there's so much less to complain about.
Yeah.
And you guys know what's awesome. You know that when he cuts open the Tauntaun and makes that little joke, I thought they smelled bad on the outside. That's funny, that's Han Solo. But it's also this like, oh yeah, Luke's going to die if he doesn't do something. Yeah. And he's got to spend the night in the cold because of that.
And Han Solo's personality is to do something like that.
Yeah.
All right, so Return of the Jedi. Pros.
Pros for Return of the Jedi. We see Luke and Vader square off, and we see it in such a way that it's what should have been done with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Because it's not a big, crazy spectacle. It's just Vader taunts him with emotion, and he comes because he's saying, like, I'm not going to fight you, Father. I'm not going to do it. And then finally he's like, well, what about Leia? And he's just like, no! And he comes...
Well, and Darth Vader just found out about Leia at that moment, too.
Well, I mean, he probably...
No, he says, like, he just says, oh, you have a sister! Oh, like, I had no... And the thing is that movie is them walking the line, because Luke walks the line of dark side, light side.
Absolutely.
He force chokes the Gamorreans at the beginning.
He's wearing black the whole movie.
He's walking the line, and Vader also. Like when I mentioned him when he first surrenders, and they're having that moment, that talk. I love that talk where he's saying like, "I feel the good in you. I feel the conflict, Father." Yeah. And then he just is like really quiet and tries to like change the subject. But then he says like, he says like, I know you're my father, you're Anakin Skywalker, and he just like snaps him like that name means nothing to me, and then says like, it's too late for me, son. Like Vader, in that moment, you're like, no, Vader is still good.
There's something in there that's maybe redeemable.
Covered in burnt flesh.
in burnt leathery bacon and a metal can.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that another thing for me, just going back to that confrontation between the two of them, that moment where he cuts Vader's hand off, because he's using the dark side to defeat him.
He is filled with anger.
And the thing about that is, George Lucas has come out and said that Luke Skywalker is the most powerful Jedi that has ever existed at that point.
Right.
So he is going to kill his father, and it's not until he realizes he's just like me, and I'm becoming like him. I think it's this dichotomy where he says, "Oh, it's not just that he's my father. I'm going to become him if I cut him down."
Yeah, and I don't know if you knew this, but Lucas had like an original version where after Luke killed him and took the helmet and put it on and said, "Now I am Vader," and like everybody was like, "No, dude, do not do that." And he wasn't actually going to do it, but just like an idea.
Well, then again, in the original draft, he called them laser swords and not lightsabers.
Yeah, but it was just like an idea he threw out. I would have hated that if.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, the way that he did it was masterful.
And the final scene when Vader dies, that Vader's death scene is absolutely like. Fine, fantastic. When he says like help me take this mask off so I can look at you with my own eyes, like that's heartbreaking. Like,
oh yeah, no, it'll get you teared up.
The cons for Jedi Ewoks.
Everyone wants to say Ewoks right out of the gate.
Yeah, it's like Gungans.
Well, here's the thing. Apparently, originally Lucas wanted it to take place on Kashyyyk, and it would have been Wookiees.
Yeah,
but they apparently didn't have like the right type of budget.
That would have made a lot more sense. Warrior Wookiees defeating.
Well, yeah, that would have been badass. And it would have made there was a bunch of Chewbacca's,
and it would have made complete sense. Little teddy bears. With throwing.
How did they get those logs in the trees? Those things weighed like 10,000 pounds.
Well, and even then, those what kind of armor do those ATSTs have?
Yeah, where they can
log can smash it and that like aluminum. They're made out of aluminum.
I was gonna say they did test that on MythBusters, and they crushed armored cars with 2 logs.
Oh, I've never.
But those logs weigh like 10 tons.
But how did the ancient man lift the stones to build the pyramids?
Well, ancient man weren't a bunch of teddy bears.
Well, joke's on you. Like, evolution. No.
It's kind of silly.
The other cons for me, or from the most updated version, like the remastered version.
Oh, I'm not even talking about that.
The two things, because everything else I enjoy about Return of the Jedi.
That stupid musical number.
Stupid song. And that's another one I wrote down. That stupid song. Like her long snout with a little lyric. They said Jabba the Hutt.
I don't know.
Oh, it's horrible.
It is the worst. You know what? That is the lowest point in any Star Wars movie for me.
Yeah, that's worse.
That's worse than Jar Jar. That's worse than the pear being cut with the Force. Yeah. It is the worst moment in Star Wars.
That's worse than midichlorians. I will go as far as to say it's worse than midichlorians.
You know what? That was the moment where everyone should have said, "George, you don't get to do anything ever again."
Hands off. The other thing that really pissed me off is when they updated the ending, so when he looks and sees Yoda and Obi-Wan
they see Hayden Christensen
and Anakin, and they switched out Anakin for Hayden Christensen. That doesn't make any sense. Why would he, when he died, went back to the Force, go back 30
why wouldn't
years
Obi-Wan? Why wouldn't it have been Ewan McGregor?
Yeah, why would he go back 30 years in age? That doesn't make any sense at all. So
it doesn't make any sense.
That really frustrates me.
I guess the only redeeming thing about that is when he stopped being Anakin died. That was the age he was at.
That was my thought too, but I still think that's stupid.
No, it is.
Because
he should have just been a really ugly ghost.
Because he re-became Anakin when
you see his Force ghost, he doesn't look like Darth Vader. No, he looks...
Yeah, and he re-became Anakin in that moment when he takes the mask off and tells him, like, you were right, tell your sister, like, and he says, I can save you, and he says, you already have. Like, he is Anakin again at that moment.
Absolutely.
All right. Moving on, The Force Awakens.
Hang on, was there another con? Oh yeah, them throwing away Boba Fett. We already talked about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was silly. But overall, good. And I like that
those Ewoks ate those stormtroopers, didn't they?
I don't know. Probably.
They probably.
And then they used their.
What were they eating at that festival?
And they were using their helmets for.
Yeah. Do you think anyone was like, "Are there still heads in those helmets?"
Yeah, no. The Ewoks.
The rebels were just like, "Fuck them."
Yeah. They killed a lot of people.
They killed a lot of people. Now imagine how many people were on each Death Star, like the cleaning crew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they got blown away. Oh yeah, that was a con for me. We didn't really need a second Death Star.
No, well, but it was to heighten the conflict.
Yeah, I know.
All right, The Force Awakens.
Transcended space and time.
Did you give a number? No, you didn't give a number for Return of the Jedi, did you?
Oh, Return of the Jedi and 8.
Oh, really? I'd give it a 9 too. I'd give 9 for number 4, number 6, 10 for.
Well, if I'm saying, oh wait, I said 10, didn't I, for A New Hope too?
Yeah.
Oh, in that case, yeah, a 9. I will say that. It's just a little bit below, but it's still such a great movie.
Yeah, it is great. All right.
Now, Force Awakens. This movie brought a lot of controversy. There were people that said it's the best Star Wars. There were people that said it's the worst Star Wars.
Okay, so
some people actually said it was worse than the prequels.
All right, pros for Episode 7 for you.
We had such an amazing new cast.
Every single character. Rey,
every single character,
Poe,
and the actors behind them.
Kylo Ren,
Adam Driver, not John Boyega, your counterpart, actual John Boyega.
Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, Oscar
Isaacs. All of them.
Fantastic casting.
And even BB-8, man. BB-8's great.
Oh, BB-8 should have gotten the Oscar.
Yeah, he was fantastic. So just each one of those characters briefly. Rey, fantastic. She's such a good balance of.
A lot of people are saying that maybe she's a Mary Sue. I don't know if I agree with that.
I just like, honestly, she's like the Star Wars Wonder Woman, I kind of think.
Yeah.
I like that. Finn, I think Finn is. I like the idea that he comes out of the Matrix almost. I think he's force sensitive. I think that's what helps him get break free. And
the thing I like about Finn is that he is a coward.
100%.
He is someone that we can relate to because I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be running towards the conflict.
No.
But when it comes right down to it, when he puts aside what he wants, bravery comes out.
Yeah, when he picks up the lightsaber to fight to save, and he's definitely I think he's going to be the one that's in love with. He's in love with Rey, or at least we get hints of that he likes her.
Well, and I think it's probably. It seems like she has feelings for him as well.
I hope it's platonic, though. I hope she doesn't have any romantic connection. She doesn't need to be tied down by anyone. She don't need no man.
Yeah,
absolutely. I hope that there's that they just end up being just friends. For that sake.
We don't need another hokey love story.
We don't need a love story. Han and Leia's the end of their arc was heart wrenching enough.
Oh yeah. We're talking pros right now, right?
Yeah, pros. So
pros. The Harrison Ford is Han freaking Solo back, and you know what people say? What is the best line in that movie? What's the one? If you had to pick one line to really bring back, and it's when him and Chewie first come on the screen, and he says, "Chewie, we're home." No, I just gave myself goosebumps. It's not just because it's a great line. And it's great for
fans. Everybody. It brought everybody
here's
back.
The thing. It was literally him saying to the audience, because they're almost looking at the camera at that point. It's him saying to the audience, hey, we're back from all that shit that happened.
Oh, I don't even think you're saying
Star Wars is back. We're home.
Yeah.
This is what Star Wars is about. Now, if we're talking, other pros, Kylo Ren is an amazing villain.
He's just so conflicted. You really feel, he talks about he's being pulled by the light and the dark, and you feel that throughout. Honestly, he is not Darth Vader, but I felt a lot of Darth Vader in terms of Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. I have a lot Revenge of the Sith Anakin in Kylo Ren.
I mean, there's a lot of controversy around him. They're like, oh, he's so whiny and mopey, he's emo. I'm like, no, he's just real.
And conflicted.
He has real emotions. He pitches a temper tantrum. And when he pitches that temper tantrum, it's one of the most compelling scenes to me because it's he... As opposed to someone who has gone full on dark side, who would just kill him and tell him... Because Vader, he's just fuck you.
Choked.
Now you're the admiral, whatever. He's
he's
shit, and he turns and he just breaks all the things. He's like, anything else?
Yeah. I like that a lot.
But they also show how powerful he is.
Holding the laser beam.
Holding the blaster bolt in the air, getting shot by the bowcaster, and then still managing to chase them down. He a lot of people are like, why is he punching himself? He's pushing his guts back into his own body.
I don't know if he's doing that, but he's definitely trying to keep the wound.
Or at least trying to give himself more pain so that he can
get angrier. Use that. Yeah, use the dark side. I like that a lot too. I think that from the other thing that's really big for me that from a movie component you were talking about watching is not as a nerd just as a movie is practical effects, man. Way to move away from the CGI, move back to
love it. Blow some shit up,
and also have aliens that are not cartoons.
And BB-8.
Yeah,
he's BB fucking
he's crazy.
Now, one thing that I'm gonna say before we go to cons, something that is neither pro nor con for me, but for a lot of people is con, is they're like, oh, they just remade Episode 4. It's beat for beat episode 4.
For me, the con, that's just a little baby con because it follows it. That it does very similarly follow the structure of number 4. But like we talked about this when the movie first came out, I think it also has enough elements from it. Actually, for me, follows the structure of number 4 and number 5 and number 6 all in one movie, and I loved that. So it was a con, but also a pro.
Well, and for me, what I saw it as, a lot of people are like, well, why would they build another Death Star? They even literally say, like, it's just a bigger Death Star. I'm like, okay, here's the point. The idea is that the First Order, it's that old adage, those who don't learn history...
Repeat it.
Are doomed to repeat it. I feel like the First Order is just trying to redo what the Empire did, and they're making the same mistakes they did.
Well, and here's the thing, is we do that in real life. Like, anytime let's say we have like a helicarrier that gets damaged, what do? We build another, bigger, stronger helicarrier. Yeah. So it's not illogical. And what do? They have their ship get destroyed.
Helicarriers we don't have in real life. That's a Marvel thing.
Well, okay, you know what I mean. Like whatever. What was I thinking of? Aircraft carrier.
An aircraft carrier.
I was thinking an aircraft carrier. Yeah. Helicarrier.
They don't really fly.
Yeah, the helicarrier is a Marvel thing. You're right. Yeah, aircraft carrier. But you know what I'm saying.
But they do it in Marvel too. They have the aircraft carrier, the helicarrier, and then they have the tri-carrier.
Yeah, but even that, like we have like the ships in. You have those ships in the prequels that the Rebellion or that the Republic's using that you see get reused as the X-Wings, like they were more advanced versions of them. So Starkiller Base, actually, for me, the only con is that I was unhappy that they blew it up. I would have liked to have seen it, like, like that
scene where it absorbs the star, where you see, like, where it powers up. That was really cool. And then, like, when the blast goes off and you see all the trees get blown back. What?
I would have liked if they would have held on to it.
Hats off to J.J. Abrams. What a well-done, like, vision. You know what I mean? Spectacular. I
would have liked to have seen Starkiller Base, like, go on. That they shut it down temporarily, but I guess that would have been kind of like number 6 if they brought the Death Star back.
Now, if we're going to talk about some cons, I mean, obviously there are a couple.
I wish Luke would have been in it longer.
Oh, no, I completely disagree. I think that and the fact that he had no lines, it was just that moment where you see him, and the look in his eye is not a look of, hey, look, there's somebody here, or a look of, oh shit, it's you. It's a look of... It's like a mix. Mark Hamill pulled it off perfectly.
It's the mystery. I like the mystery.
The look in his eye is, I'm glad you're here, but you being here means that something bad has happened.
Or something bad could happen.
Like, well, no, I think the moment he saw her, he knew that Han's dead.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I think he knew that, like, if you're here, that means Han's gone.
Oh, how do we not talk about that? That was Han's dead. Like,
I don't know if I want to outright say that him dying is a pro.
No, but
we're talking pros and cons.
That scene where he got killed.
That scene is an absolute pro. The moment where he yells, Ben! And he stops and turns around, heart-wrenching. Because at that point, we didn't know what Kylo Ren's real name was.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have been like, Jeff!
Yeah.
Jeff Solo!
Yeah, Jeff Solo. Alright, so, give a number to Force Awakens.
Oh, we're not going to talk any cons.
Oh, we do. I mean, the cons, we mentioned the possibly being the structural thing, the Starkiller Base thing. What a con.
Captain Phasma was completely underutilized.
Well, that's a Star Wars, but that's a recurring Star Wars theme. So,
yeah, she's a throwaway villain.
She was, yeah, I agree.
They might bring her back. We didn't see her die.
I think she'll probably be back. General Hux wasn't. I liked him a lot.
So. No, he was cool.
Snoke, we didn't get to see too much of Snoke.
We didn't get to see much of Snoke.
But that's the Emperor.
Apparently, hologram technology has really taken leaps and bounds since the events of Episode 6, because I thought he was. At first, I was like, "Oh, they just made him a giant."
I think everybody did think he was real.
But then when he disappears, like, oh, it was a hologram. Because holograms before that were all blue and grainy. Because
actually, but when you go back and see it again, he's a little blue now. Not grainy, but he's high def.
I was going to say
Starkiller Base comes
just hologram technology's
Blu-ray.
Really,
like the Starkiller has Blu-ray.
As far as negatives are concerned, I wanted to see more Poe Dameron.
Yeah, of course.
And I know we will see more of him in the future, but
it's what we.
If you read the novelization, there's more of him in it.
All right. So you wanted more Poe, I did too.
I want more Poe. Coincidences. I don't like There's a couple times in it where you're like, oh, that just happened to happen.
No, but I think it's the Force. It's that the Force.
Well, no, not necessarily. Not.
The Force is in control of everything.
It's easy for us to say, but that's saying that the Force is the Deus Ex Machina. For instance, the moment they leave Jakku, and they get up there. They're up there for like an hour and a half, and then Han and Chewie show up out of the vastness of space, and they literally say like,
Well, Han mentions
he literally says, "We saw the beacon come on, and we happened to be in the area."
Yeah, well, but Han mentions
Really?
Han mentions like it was so easy for us to find you that they think how easy it's going to be for the First Order to find you.
Yeah, but that's the point. Like, they couldn't have. They didn't happen to be on the other end of the galaxy. They happened to be within like a couple hours flight. That's crazy coincidence.
That's true. They
and then, of course, there's the moment. The other one for me that I literally was like, no, was in the fight between Kylo and Rey, where she's finally like defeated him, and before it can finish, the ground just opens up and a chasm appears.
Well, because
that is J.J. Abrams had written himself into a corner. Was like, how do we get out of this? Oh, we'll just have the ground expand.
Oh, but I thought that was kind of cool. It reminded me. Remember, Star Wars is a spectacle. And it reminded me of the spectacle of it.
Yeah, but it could have just as easily been resolved with him force pushing her and running away or something.
But he wouldn't have done that, dude.
Or him or her just like picking up John Boyega and Finn, and just like walking off as he's just sitting there watching them. Like he lost, but she wouldn't kill him.
But I like the imagery of it.
I don't know.
The imagery of
there's a chasm between them.
You need to get off this planet. This planet is Krypton.
I don't know. It's just it was literally one of those moments where I was like, oh, come on.
All right. So,
but that being said, Force Awakens for me. It's a 10.
I give it a 10.
It's a 10.
I give it a 10.
You know what? And I know a lot of people are going to be mad about that.
No, whatever.
It's a 10
if
for
you,
me.
You can. By the way, you can tweet.
It's as good as the original.
You can tweet at us all your scores, or if you disagree or whatever, if you feel like it. But it's a 10 spot for me.
It's absolutely a 10.
All right. So our to end our show and our Star Wars extravaganza, our what did you call it? The Battle of the Titans.
The Clash of the Titans, as opposed to Clash of the Titans.
For our Clash of the Titans
death
this
battle.
week, we decided to stay within the world of Star Wars,
the universe of Star Wars,
the Star Wars universe. So we had a long time discussing who we were thinking about picking. In one corner we unanimously decided we wanted Darth Vader because
absolutely
Vader, especially even though we don't see in the movies too much, when we do see him fighting, we know that he's an excellent lightsaber duelist. We know he has the Force like crazy, and we know that he kills lots and lots of people.
And if you happen to look into any of the expanded universe stuff, like he's crazy powerful.
Yeah, in the comics,
he's so overpowered.
Yeah, he lifts AT-ATs and stuff. And
he can like turn Star Destroyers so they're like facing opposite directions.
In the comic books, apparently he has over like 300 or 600 confirmed kills, more than that probably.
Yeah, he's got so many midichlorians.
So yeah, too many.
They actually added some extra when they put the robots.
So we thought one battle we never got to see or even possibly happen is, we always talked about Darth Vader being the strongest and being the chosen one, all this stuff. So we thought it'd be cool to pit Darth Vader against the, as far as we know, strongest Jedi there is, Master Yoda.
Yeah, even though Anakin happens to have more midichlorians,
yeah.
We're going to take that out of account for this battle.
Well,
now
they can use Force, they can use lightsabers.
Here's our tale of the tape. Yoda is a 3-foot-tall green person,
my little green friend,
from a planet that we don't know of, and the species to everyone is just called the Yoda species.
And Yaddle.
There was Yaddle,
but she was the girl Yoda.
Well, and they took her out when they redid it because they wanted Yoda to be like the last of his species, and she had no lines. Yeah. Yoda is obviously now we're going to be going with the younger Yoda because older Yoda, even though we know he's still very powerful, he was pretty frail. Right. So I don't think it would be a fair contest.
I think we should do Episode 3 Yoda versus Episode 5 Vader.
Absolutely, totally agree. Because by Episode 6, I think Vader had lost some of his resolve after learning about his kids. Yeah. Or, you know what, Episode 4 Vader.
Yeah, okay.
Episode 4 Vader, where he still doesn't even know.
Yeah, the in-between. That's when he's usually described
as he's completely evil, super powerful, and he has no hang-ups about killing people because he has no connection to the human world anymore.
It's straight Vader's, no Anakin.
So Vader v. Yoda. Now, here's what I see. Anakin has more midichlorians.
Right, so here's your
But that doesn't mean that he's necessarily more powerful in the Force. Yoda is like 900 years old. He has so much knowledge.
Right.
So,
and in Episode 3, we did see him, catching things and spinning them. In Episode 2, we saw him catch the Force light and send it back.
Yeah, he can combat about anything that Vader could probably throw at him.
With the Force.
Now, that being said, I think Vader might intimidate him. We did see Yoda run away from the fight when he thought he was going to get killed by Sidious.
I think
he hears Sidious's laughter, he gets freaked out, and he crawls out through that corridor. Mm-hmm. Even though the laughter was a trick, he actually had him on the ropes. Yeah, if you go back and watch the fight, he had him on the ropes, and he let it go because he thought that he was outmatched. So I think Vader might intimidate him. However, I think... I don't know who would win this fight.
I'm going to go with Vader. And this is my reasoning. Because, one, Vader has no grips about killing. And other than those 2 troopers that we see Yoda decapitate, and perhaps... I think that's the only time you really ever see Yoda kill anybody.
So you think Yoda wouldn't pull the trigger?
I don't know if Yoda would pull the trigger. And also, I think that...
He's known him since he was a little boy. He might have some connection to him.
And I think the other thing is that I think Vader has just more... I mean, the dark side just gives you more options. He has more weapons he can use.
That's true.
And Yoda's going to be on the defensive this whole fight, and eventually, it's like in soccer, when you keep taking shots, eventually one's going to go in when you keep knocking on the door. I think Vader would keep coming at him with the lightsaber and with the Force and everything, and eventually Force choking him, we don't ever see Vader use Force lightning, but presumably he could. I mean, I don't know. But I guess that's irrelevant because we've never seen that happen. Yeah. But all those sorts of things that he could do, throwing an AT-AT. I mean, Yoda appeared to be having a little bit of a struggle lifting the X-Wing like that. Yeah. He did.
Well, and you know what? Vader's not going to tire out. He's like
that's
3/4 robot.
That was the other thing I was going to say.
He's got the stamina of a machine.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go win Vader.
Now, I think Yoda's a lot faster. I think he's going to outpace him.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to either tire out or he's going to freak out.
But if we look, I mean, Vader does have the speed. If we're talking about Revenge of the Sith, Anakin's speed, we saw him moving around pretty fast. But now Vader has the enhancements from the machines, and also he's a little bit older and wiser, and he's learned from those experiences.
And colder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He has no hang-ups about
and also
slaughtering.
Vader has seen Yoda's fighting style in Episode 2. I mean, and when
that's true.
And I'm sure he's learned from Vader. He's learned from Yoda.
From Yoda, and he's also learned from Sidious. Who defeated Yoda.
That's true. Win Vader.
Now, but that's not to say, even though we've been talking a lot about what's going on with Vader, that's not to say this wouldn't be a difficult battle. Oh, I mean, this would be a great spectacle.
We would love to see it.
This would be a great spectacle. Short of Yoda getting behind him, tugging on his cape, and lightsabering him through the back of his head, I think Vader would probably eventually win out. In this contest.
So we say,
but we want to hear what you guys say on Twitter. Speaking of which, we'll say that as far as last week's contest go. You guys pulled it at a dead heat the last time I checked, that you thought that Iron Man and Optimus were completely tied.
No,
were there other votes?
No. There were some more votes. The Twitter poll, we had a couple people vote not from Twitter.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I'm sorry. I apologize.
So we have Twitter poll, but also word of mouth. If you can do however you want to. Contact us.
Your mail-in votes.
Put in your vote, yeah. But Iron Man pulled through with
Iron Man pulled ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they agreed with us. So this week we'll post up the poll on Twitter. You let us know Vader v Yoda, who you all think. We vote Vader, but we'll see what happens. We'll see if you guys disagree.
Yeah.
So any final thoughts before we?
I can't wait for Rogue One. December is going to be such a great month.
And I might go watch The Force Awakens again since I bought it. I mean, I watched it this afternoon, but not tonight, but later this week.
Yeah. All right, guys.
So feel free to listen to us on iTunes or SoundCloud or YouTube.
On our YouTube channel.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the SoundCloud page. Subscribe to the podcast.
Just subscribe to all the things.
And follow us on Twitter at Strong and Geek.
Yep, Strong and Geek. You can also follow me personally at the Ben Ramirez and not John Boyega. You're at Ramrez for Press, right?
And we will join us next week when we'll be discussing any properties like TV shows or toys or video games that we think should become made into films. So that'll be our big topic for next week.
Tweet us this week things that you might think would be great things like comic books. Toys, whatever, that would make great movies, so that we have more stuff to talk about for next week. All right, and that is going to wrap us up for this week.
Our show.
Thank you so much for chiming in. Thank you to our sponsor, Biscuits and Gravy Lane.
And now we're going to go and eat some more of those. So,
all right.
See you later.
Good night.